All right, good morning, everyone. It's Justin here and Finn. We're just having like the best morning. We just stayed the night on the boat. Hey, buddy. Sausage all cooked up, orange juice, coffee, got some eggs ready for the pan, baby. Whoa, look out. Breakfast time. Maple sausage. That's good. Uh-oh. Finn's trying to jump on the boat. He smells the sausage. I better grab him. And as you can tell, it is just magical out here right now. The water is crystal clear. There's like no wind. And Finn just wants to play like all morning. Give me that. But I thought it'd be cool to make a video to talk through a lot of the modifications I made to my C Dory. And just like mods, but also like general boat camping accessories and stuff like that, you might say. So I've already done a video kind of going over the overview of the boat. I got his ball. Go get it. But I just thought it'd be too much content to put all of this into one video. So I would like to do a separate video covering mods. So yeah, let's jump into it. I think I've got some cool stuff to share, hopefully. All right, there you go, Finn. So maybe we'll start with the outside of the boat first. Just some simple stuff. So I don't know if you call this a mod or not, but I spent a ton of time compounding the side of this boat to get it back to its original shiny state. It was pretty oxidized at first, and so I buffed the heck out of it. I don't know how you can see if it's really shiny now. Took a ton of time. I used 3M heavy cut buffing compound and then a big DeWalt buffer, but it really made a big difference, and the boat looks really good now. The only downside to doing that is then you're really going to care if you get scratches. So I don't know. I just got to be extra careful when I pull up to a dock. I had to get these special like cloth covers for my fenders because my fenders were actually like, scratching the gel coat where they would rub against the side of the boat. So you just become pretty particular about how the boat looks once you spend all the time and invest all the time shining her up. All right, so one of the most, probably one of the most noticeable modifications on the outside of the boat is the roof rack that I added. Let me step up here. So this thing is awesome. My buddy Adam owns a company called Ultra Fabrications here in Wilmington. And when he used to live in Australia building like Outback rigs, and he built like this Outback canopy system for a Tacoma over there, including this roof rack. And he shipped it over to the United States and ended up selling the canopy, but had the roof rack laying around. So he gave me this, so shout out to Adam. Big thanks for hooking me up with this rack. And he modified it to fit the width of the, you can see the welds he did. He shortened the width of it so that it's the same width as the factory C Dory roof rack rails. And then what I did is I 3D printed these feet that sit on the railing there. So the rack literally just sits on top. And then I added these over-center latches with a piece of Dyneema that wraps around the underside of the roof rail, so it sucks everything down to the factory roof rail system. And so there's no need to drill any holes in the roof, which was a big bonus for me. And then another thing that's really good about this is that to keep a cover on the boat like I do, the cover doesn't really fit well with the roof rack in place. And so I can really quickly undo this latch, undo the Dyneema, and then the whole roof rack just kind of slides off the back and out of the way. So really good for quick removal. Like I said, if you're going to use a cover, or maybe you're a thief and you want to steal my roof rack and all the gear attached to it when I'm at the dock, it's really easy to take this thing off. It's aluminum. Most of it's anodized, so let's see how it holds up. So far, it's doesn't show much corrosion or anything. I may get it powder coated in the future if it starts to show corrosion, but we'll see. And then I also added these crossbars here. So these just bolt on. And then I can put surfboards up here on these pads, fishing poles. I can throw like kiteboarding stuff, like kites and stuff in this basket. And then I also have a rooftop box. I'll post a picture. I'll show a picture in the video for like a car. And that rooftop box clips into these roof rails as well. So that gives you like enclosed storage for like long trips if you want to keep things dry. It also lets you lock up the box. So if you're staying at a dock and you're leaving the boat for a while, you can lock all your valuables in there. Not to say somebody couldn't just like pop the whole entire roof rack off, but it'd be pretty bulky and hard to do. So you'd have to bring some guys with you to do that. Okay, moving into the cockpit of the boat. A couple little tweaks I made. I've added rod holders back here in the transom, in the, I don't know what you call that, the gunnels, close to the back of the boat, whatever. Those boat didn't have any rod holders before, so I wanted to be able to pull some fishing lines or throw a flagpole in there. So I added rod holders. Make sure, because these are balsa cord boats, that if you're going to add any accessories, that you over drill through the entire fiberglass balsa core, larger diameter than you need, and then fill all those holes with epoxy, and then re-drill through for your hardware, and just seal all the balsa core up with epoxy so that you don't get any water intrusion. Normally you use like silicone and there's a gasket and stuff around these, but I went the extra mile and just kind of soaked out all the balsa core and everything with thickened epoxy, so that there's no way that water is going to seep in there. Some other modifications I made. I've got a power inverter going on right here. That's not really a mod, but I'm charging up some drone batteries. We just got some really good shots this morning and trying to pump my batteries back up for round 2. But I did add speakers back here. So in the cockpit, I've got these speakers wired to my stereo so that you can listen to music kind of inside and outside the boat. Or if you pull up to the beach, you can hear your music from the beach. The other thing I added was an outdoor shower. So from the factory, the C Dories come with a foot pump. They have a 20-gallon freshwater tank, but there's just a foot pump that only runs the sink inside. And so I added a freshwater washdown pump that's plumbed to the sink, and then I ran a line out here to this coiled up hose in the gunnel. And so I can use this to shower off after surfing. You can also use it to kind of spray off the deck or something if you get dirt, sand or fish blood or whatever on the boat. And then moving inside, I've added this panel here. So this electrical panel is what drives the freshwater pump. And so there's a switch here to turn the pump on and off. There's a 12-volt cigarette outlet for accessories. And then there's a little voltmeter here, and then 2 USB chargers for phones or cameras or whatever. And then that is wired in underneath the sink here to a freshwater washdown pump here. So when I hit this switch, that pump charges up, and there's a pressure switch built in that automatically turns it off until you crack open a faucet to start flow. But that's just mounted, if you can see that down in there. This is the inlet line from the freshwater tank. There's a little strainer to keep any trash out of the pump. And then it's plumbed over to the sink, so now I can just crack open the faucet or the shower in the back and have pressurized water without having to, without your leg falling off from pumping so much. That was one of the first things I think I did to this boat. Another thing I added while we're still up back here are some courtesy lights. So you're not going to see these during the day, but I put lights up underneath the gunnel. Actually, you can probably see them underneath there. LED lights there right above the step, and the same thing over on this side. And then moving inside, I also added a courtesy light under there, and then those are wired to a switch on the panel. So like I said, you won't be able to see those during the day. All right, so for the courtesy lights, I've got a switch wired up here that you pull, and then that turns on a light. Finn's kind of blocking it, but there's a light underneath the dinette table, and then back here, there's lights under each step underneath the gunnels in the cockpit. To kind of light up the cockpit area. So off, on. Helps, give you some visibility at night. Like, make sure you don't stub your toe, and you can kind of see where you're walking around. But it also doesn't like totally kill your night vision by turning on like an overhead light. So those have been pretty handy. Especially the one under this shelf has been really nice. Also, another little boat trip, C Dory camping pro tip. Freaking one wheel. So this is a one wheel electric skateboard. You've probably seen these. This is like the best personal transportation device for a small boat. So whenever you tie up at a town dock and you want to go get groceries or just kind of explore, this thing is an awesome way to get around town, but also take up very little space on the boat. And it just so happens it fits perfectly on this factory C Dory shelf underneath the table. I always wondered what the heck I'd use this shelf for. and this one wheel is like a perfect fit right there. So just, a lot of people on like sailboats have folding bikes and stuff like that. That thing is probably the most compact form of personal transportation that you can find. Okay, moving back to the inside, well, inside and outside of the boat. This is probably my absolute favorite modification. I've added a diesel heater to this boat. I just used like one of those cheap Chinese diesel heater kits. I got it from a company called Vivor. You've probably heard of these. The whole kit was like $100, which blows my mind. And I've read a ton of reviews before doing this. I didn't want to cheap out and get something that was going to break, but a lot of people were saying that they like their Chinese diesel heaters as much or better than their, like $600. I think Wallace maybe makes a diesel heater, and there's like a setup that's like a couple $1,000s. It's like some French brand, I can't remember. But people really like these Vivor heaters, so I figured, go for $100. Like, what do I have to lose? And so far, I've been really happy with it. So we'll start back here at the diesel fuel tank. So this little slim tank here actually came with the Vivor kit, and I had to heat up the tank and kind of push in the back corner there to get it to fit. And then I made this aluminum bracket. My friend Adam, again, helped me out with that, to mount it to this kind of gas tank cover bulkhead thing. So these two screws bolt this here. And this was like, I'm super happy with how this turned out. I notched out the trim here so that you can get to the diesel cap. And there's just a little fuel line that runs up, and it runs over to the fuel pump that's mounted in here. You can hear it clicking. It's actually on right now. So I'm going to stick the camera in here and see if you can see that. There's a little diesel fuel pump in there, and then this diesel line runs forward into the cabin. I wanted the fuel pump out back because you can hear it makes that clicking noise, and I didn't want to have to listen to that all night when I'm up in the V-berth. So I wanted the fuel pump as far away from the heater as possible. Also, it's beneficial because it's a lot easier to push fuel, or any fluid really, than it is to pull it. So the closer you can get that pump to the tank, really, the better. So anyway, diesel tank there. You saw the fuel pump. The fuel line runs through the gunnel, through the little pass-through, to the heater, which is underneath the sink here. So if I open up this cabinet, hopefully you can see the heater up in that corner there. Hopefully it's not too dark. So I took a piece of wood, marine plywood, painted it, and then I used like a permanent adhesive, construction adhesive, to glue it to the inside of the hull. And then I bolted some brackets to mount the heater there. It's running now. And then the heater exhaust is this fiberglass braided piece. This gets super hot, so definitely want to insulate it. And even with the fiberglass, it's pretty hot, so you got to make sure you don't let anything like plastic rub up against that. The black hose is the air intake for the combustion air, and then, like I said, the fiberglass is the exhaust for the combustion exhaust. The air for the actual cabin heat gets drawn in from the right side and then blown out through ducts here. And then this is where I got a little fancy. I 3D printed some parts to like splitters and a couple other vents and stuff, so that I can split off, a 3-inch duct. So most of the heat comes out of this kind of eyeball heater fitting here onto the floor, which is so nice. Keep your feet warm. I 3D printed this bezel that goes in place of the factory foot pump for the sink. So I reused this kind of oval shaped cutout for from the factory foot pump for this main vent. The heated air also splits off, comes out here along the side of the cockpit to this vent here. And so this is a rotatable vent that blows on the kind of the helm station, so this can blow down at your feet when you're driving. Then it reduces down to the 2-inch vent size, or so 1.5 inches or something, runs forward into the V-berth. And then hopefully you can see this, but that vent comes through here. And then there's another eyeball fitting that lets you spin this around and point the heat out into the V-berth. And so last night was the first night we actually used this, and it worked awesome. It was plenty warm. I had this on the lowest setting, and it stayed plenty warm overnight. I think we've got down to 46. And then it's all controlled by this thermostat here. And so this lets you adjust temperature. You can set it in a manual mode or like an auto, like thermostat mode. I've just been using it in manual, honestly. And then, last but not least, there's a remote hanging up here. This remote allows you to control temperature kind of from the V-berth. So you can, if in the middle of the night you want to change temperature, you can adjust it without getting out of bed. This thing has been awesome. So I ran it last night on the low setting, and I think I burned like 2 liters of diesel fuel. So that thing is killer. It was so comfortable. All right, and then the last thing I wanted to point out about the diesel heater is the exhaust. So you can hear it running. There's Finn, hey buddy. The exhaust comes out of this through hole here, and it's a special jacketed through hole because this gets really hot, and so you don't want to transfer that heat to the hull. So there's this insulated through hole fitting here that keeps the hull from getting really hot. You got to be careful when you pull up next to a dock because you can like melt fenders with this exhaust. It's pretty hot. And it was a little scary drilling a hole in the side of the boat to put that there.
Cost a typical family $3,900 a year.
But just like with the rod holders, I over drilled, sealed everything with epoxy big time, siliconed the heck out of it, and then with a gasket put that through hole in. That's been really good. All right, moving back inside the boat for some more mods. I guess I'll hit on some more cosmetic stuff right now. So when I first got this boat, these countertops, the galley countertop and this kind of dinette table were like this white painted wood. So I kind of wanted to dress it up a little bit, and so I added this like butcher block contact paper. I got this stuff off of Amazon. It's like a big sticker, basically. You cut it. It comes in a roll. You cut it to size, and it's really like durable. It's like a hard kind of plastic material. It's not very thin. It's thick. So I kind of put this butcher block material on this countertop here, and then also the countertop in the galley. I also added these stainless steel cup holders to the dinette table, so if you're underway, you can put your beer in there and it won't go sliding around. And then another thing I did is the boat didn't come with, but the previous owner included like some sea deck kind of material. And so this floor, I put this in. So this is like that sea deck foam flooring stuff. It's kind of wet and sandy right now because we were just walking on the beach, but I put a strip in here, put a strip forward, and then a strip there in front of the helm seat. This just is like, it's just really comfortable to walk on. It's soft, it stays warm, so you're not, if it's cold and you're barefoot, you don't your feet stay warm. But mostly just for looks. I think it looks really good and kind of complements the butcher block wood finish. There was just a lot of burgundy and a lot of white in this boat, and so I wanted to kind of break that up a little bit with some kind of wood accents to warm it up a little. Also, I've done a couple little things at the galley, so I've added one of these little fruit hammock things. This is really cool for, no bananas. Sorry, no bananas. You can't put bananas on the boat. Oranges, apples, kiwis, whatever. Put your fruit up here, bread or something, just some extra storage. I found this cool little wicker basket thing at Walmart, and it's like the perfect size for right behind the kitchen sink here. I turned the heater off and it's talking to us. Just said that it finished its cool down cycle. So yeah, this is really good for storing spatulas and knives, and we got sponges, dish soap, a lighter, can opener, salt, pepper, sunscreen, that kind of stuff. I also have this spice wheel. This is freaking awesome. I think they sell these at Walmart. You can get them on Amazon. So it's got like all your kind of go-to spices in one little compact thing. This is great. I keep it in the Ziploc with some desiccant just to keep it from clogging up and like clumping together if it gets humid in here. Back here, this is I made this, actually 3D printed this sign with wood filament, and then you kind of sand it to give it a fake wood grain color, and then you can stain it. So it's 3D printed wood, basically. It's got like a plastic binder. So I've made a cool little nameplate thing that matches the logo on the outside of the boat. What else? I also 3D printed this little storage box for silverware, just to keep your silverware organized. I love keeping things organized, so I've got that for the silverware, and then I also have this like hefty bin here that fits all my dishes and most of my pots and pans, so that when you're ready to cook, you just pull that whole kit out basically, and you've got all your kitchen stuff there ready to go. I also have, this boat didn't come with the built-in wall-less stove, and I'm actually like kind of stoked that it didn't, because I really like having all this extra counter space. Because if you think about it, like how often are you actually cooking? Even if you're doing trips on the boat where you cook every night, you're only using the stove for 20 or 30 minutes out of the day. So this frees up all this extra counter space for storage or desk space, whatever you want to use for it. And then I just have one of those little cheap little butane stoves down here, which works awesome. So this guy I got off of Amazon. It was like 25 bucks for real. It was no kidding. And it uses these little butane canisters that fit in. Yes, this thing was like 25 bucks. No kidding. It uses little butane canisters that mount inside of here, so it's all like self-contained, which is really nice. So you don't have to like plumb up an external propane tank. You can though, which is cool. So this particular one can run off of propane using this adapter. So if you can't find butane, if you ever run out, I think propane's a little easier to find. So you could use propane if you need it, but that's a really cool little self-contained unit. That's been really nice. Okay, moving away from the galley, let's go over to the helm, I guess. Haven't done a ton over here. Probably the biggest thing is I've added a second mount for a tablet, so you can have two screens. So you can run like Navionics on one. It's also nice to have a tablet on the boat because you can throw some Netflix or something on there at night. So dual screens, and then I have just a little charging cable run over to a USB cigarette lighter adapter here to charge it up. Other than that, no real changes. I did add I've got two bilge pumps on this boat, so I did add a switch for the aft bilge pump so I can have it off, manual or auto. And then of course you can keep the forward bilge pump in auto or manual. That's the factory switch. This is a switch to arm the cabin heat. So that's that diesel heater system, and then I've got a switch for courtesy lights here. So nothing too crazy at the helm. That's all kind of standard stuff. Let's see what else. Okay, so one other thing for the diesel heater. This isn't super necessary, but just to be safe, I wanted to add a little a carbon monoxide alarm here. Finn's hair stuck to it. So I've got a carbon monoxide alarm here that will tell you if CO levels build inside the cabin overnight. So if you're running the diesel heater and maybe there's like an exhaust leak or something like that and it starts to fill the cabin with CO, hopefully that'll wake you up before you die. So one more thing while I'm at the helm to talk about. So this Garmin multifunction display came with the boat. This thing's pretty sweet. But this you're able to kind of plug in different electronic devices that run off that, I think it's called an NMEA 2000 network. So there's kind of like a CAN bus network in a car. So you can plug in different electronic devices into this, different accessories. And one of the very first things I did to this boat actually was I installed a Garmin fuel flow sensor. And so back at the engine back there, I've got a inline fuel flow sensor that ties into this device up here. And so this gives me real-time gallons per hour burn and also my fuel economy miles per gallon, which is pretty cool. I just like to know that stuff. It's kind of fun. It helps you tune. You can trim the boat out for best fuel economy when you're cruising. And then you can also when you fill up, you can put in how much gas you've added to the tank. Or how much fuel you have on board, basically, and then this will calculate how much range you have based on the fuel remaining. So that's kind of a fun little gadget I threw in there. All right, now moving up into the V-berth, I didn't really do anything up here. This is all pretty standard stuff. I did switch all of the interior light bulbs to LEDs so that I can run those at night without having to worry about burning the battery down. So every bulb on this boat is now LED. So all the interior lights, the running lights, and the anchor light are all LED now. And then one thing I love about this boat when it comes to electrical is everything is just so simple and accessible. So this particular boat, I guess this is a factory option, to get to all of the wiring behind the helm, you just pop down this little vinyl cover thing. Then you have access to all of your wiring here. So if you ever need to do some troubleshooting, everything's really accessible. Change a fuse or something like that. And then all of the wiring throughout the entire boat is run externally. So, as an example, if you look up here, all the wiring for whatever is all run through the outside of the boat. So you don't have to fish wires through bilges or anything, which is pretty cool. The only other thing I've done up here is I added one of these Vivor portable toilets. So just like a little cartridge toilet. Haven't really had to use it yet, but it's there. There's a kind of a space for it, and just in case, I'm prepared. All right, so I think that's pretty much it for the mods video. One other thing that's been really nice to have is this little floor mat thing. It's like a fake grass, and I know it sounds simple, but having something that's has some depth to it, kind of some bristles, really helps keep the sand down whenever you go from the beach into the cabin. So sand drives me nuts inside the cabin. And so it's been really nice to have a little floor mat to wipe your feet off on before you drag all that stuff inside. Kind of an obvious one. I don't know if I'd call it a mod, but it's been handy. So I think that that pretty much covers it. Finn, you ready to go continue our adventure? There's a shipwreck out in Rich Inlet that I saw with the drone this morning. I've heard about it, and I've heard people have seen it, and you can hit it. But I've never actually seen it in person. So it's so flat today, and the water's so clear that I think this is the perfect day to go try to get some video of it and check it out. So we'll sign off. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you on future adventures.